Hello and welcome along to RPL in Imola, Tier 2, Season 11, Round number 11. With that said, it's time to see if Owen will win the championship once again. He had the chance to do so last week, and now he has the chance to do so this week, and even a better chance this week with Bonky not being here. His other rival, Gecko, though, still needs to outscore him by quite a bit. I'm your commentator for tonight, folks, Ryan Searles. I am here by myself. And we'll see what happens for tonight's race. I am by myself, like I reiterated, and welcome along, chat. Evening, not racing tonight, really sick, says Invade. So good to see you at least watching along. 19 drivers for tonight's event. Let's get over some headlines before we get to any standings, because the constructor standings cannot be won this week, but it can be won next week, and we have a 4-way title fight, which could become 3 contenders today. So, Goggy is returning after his race ban last week. For loan and reserve spots, we have JTK who's reserving, but in the Red Bull for tonight, Centrix is missing, Bonkers is missing, so Kipu goes from AlphaTauri to Red Bull. Got Mr. Speedy for Merc. Ardell's full-time in that spot, but Mr. Speedy's here for tonight. Alex Norris and Alpine. You've got Sabulks and Alfa Romeo. Wavy returns. Mintoki making a Tier 2 debut. Minions and KVS are in the Haas. Blue Goggy back for AlphaTauri in the Red Bull Academy. Dom alongside him for tonight. And I believe Owen in Williams tonight, if I'm seeing this correctly. Let me just check one more time with the lineups because I missed one team. Owen in Williams, yep. That is correct. Originally, he was going to be alongside Mintoki, but Mintoki got put in the Aston Martin because there was no one there alongside Wavy. So there you have it. There's your 20-car lineup for tonight's event. Some reserving, most not usually names you see here in Tier 2, but because they are reserves, they can do Tier 2. Example being KVS and Minions. Minions recently did the Japan race. KVS isn't really done Tier 2 for RPL. So a competitive grid, that's for sure. Minions will not win, he says, but you never know. We've seen chaotic things happen because the last time we were here in Imola, it started out as a dry race, got wet at one point, and the podium was made up of Groggers for Red Bull, Sam Steed for AlphaTauri, and Polo God for Haas. And it is a cloudy session here for Q1. Finally, for the first time in a couple of weeks, we have full qualifying on our hands. So that is amazing to see. And it's raining in the race. Oh, that is a change for the drivers. I don't think they were wanting that. Let's see when it's raining in the race, from what the drivers are saying. Minico says he's normal spectator because he's got no one to engineer tonight. So yes, Ardell was being engineered by Minico last week, then the 2 Canadians. Standings, is this a good time to go over our standings before we get to anyone on hot laps? I think it is. Owen leads Bonky by 62 points. Gecko is 64 points back from that championship lead. Bonkers is missing tonight's event. Gecko is not. Gecko won for the first time in Tier 2 last week. But because it's down to Gecko now, Gecko cannot tie this championship at all. He has to win 5 races, but he can't do that anymore. He will win up to 4 races at the most throughout the rest of the season. With that considered, Gecko has to have the championship gap at 51 points. He can't win off of ties. So he needs to gain 13 points for tonight's event. As for our constructor standings, many scenes, as you guys are using those type of words in chat. That's the way to describe this constructors fight. We've not talked a lot about it, but we'll get to it now. Mercedes lead the championship of Red Bull by 8 points. Red Bull have not really had that many race wins or that many strong performances up until recently. They had a double podium last week in Zandvoort. They had 2 wins recently. That helps, but the thing is that they've not had the most strong performances. It took them a while to get their first win of the season. Bonkers has 2 wins for them and 2 poles. They've been strong in qualifying, so have Mercedes and Ferrari, the 2 other title rivals. But the thing is that Red Bull are so close to Mercedes because of the fact that they have no penalty points. The only team with that happening for them. Ferrari 16 points back from Mercedes, 8 points back from Red Bull, and then McLaren are the outliers here, 73 points back from Mercedes, the big ones without a chance. But depending on the performances tonight, they'll either still have a chance or they won't have a chance at all. Owen is now on a lap, turn 2, 3, 4, the first braking zones and the first real corners of this circuit. Now he comes to the ending bits of Sector 1, 100-meter board, 50-meter board. Trying to get himself out of Q1 should be an easy task, but with this competitive grid for tonight, you can't guarantee it. 24-0. Invade, he was not allowed to be in Red Bull, by the way, for tonight. As you notice, FRC Dom, now BRT Dom. FRC had some issues with their esports team shutting down, I believe. BRT Dom for tonight. He is in AlphaTauri. You may ask, why is he not in Red Bull like he is in Formula Endurance? Well, he's too fast for that car. They were not happy about that, so they allowed him to be in AlphaTauri, similar to KVS being in Haas for tonight, for an example. But Owen, now coming through the second sector, has got a nice lap done so far, but he's just got to complete it and keep it valid. The track limits around this circuit can be a bit tricky for our drivers, so we will have to watch out for that. Yeah, example, Blonde was one who was supposed to race Tier 2 last week, but he was not allowed in Red Bull. He was in AlphaTauri, or supposed to be in AlphaTauri. 15.2 is what Owen sets. That's the top time to beat for our drivers. We'll find out if anyone else tops that. We've got a Mercedes on track that is Speedy starting a lap. Speedy will cross the line. We'll go on board with him. Either his first or second Tier 2 start, I believe. He raced last week in FE and F1. And then his first start came F1 the previous week. Also, further on back, an Alpine started a lap. That should be Tadpole, our champion from a couple of seasons ago. Hunted the champion back as well this week. Most recent reigning champion, season 10. And not going to be the reigning champion for too much longer because Owen has a 62-point lead, and we have 52 points available in the last 2 races remaining after today's event. Portugal and Vegas, the 2 tracks that do remain on our calendar. So we've got Speedy coming through the middle sector here. This tricky section right here can easily catch a driver out on track limits or dirty air. Dom, Alex Norris, 2 drivers who've also set laps 49.9 for Speedy. But he's looking a little speedy right now, but not entirely much compared to Owen. He's just a little bit ahead in that second sector. Yellow flags further on back. Someone's letting the other drivers go for a flying lap and getting out of the way. Speedy is now coming through the final 2 corners. And to the start-finish line with DRS applied, he will set the fastest time. Nope, he will not. He actually lost out in that last sector. And his second fastest, Minions as well, by the way, is third too. I should mute my phone. Oops. There we go. And JNT Gaming has crashed out, and that is the end of his Q1. So the Alfa Romeo driver who crashed in the final lap of this race in Tier 1 when making a reserve appearance will have to start from the back of the grid and have to settle for that. That is unfortunate for him. We'll see what kind of laps the other drivers do. You got the Aston Martin driver making a debut also on a really good lap right now, 49.8. This could go top of the table, but you have to improve in that last sector because Owen found a really good last sector, beating Mr. Speedy. Here we go, start-finish line approaching Mintoki's way now. It is going to be top of the board, 15-0, one of 7 drivers to complete a lap. Let's see who's closest to starting a lap of our drivers out on the track. I believe it is HSR Gecko who won last week for the first time over JTK, and then Bonkers completing that podium. Let's find out what Gecko's lap will be and how he starts it. Keeping it in the track limits. Hunted LAX goes second fastest. Looks to be safe right now in the session. Just a competitive grid from what things look like right now. Drivers in midfield teams. Yeah, Mintoki. Oopsies. I noticed. Gecko coming through the first sector at 23.9 is going to be the lap time that Gecko has. Enters after like 10 to 15 minutes, but then we'll go race for 1 hour, then it will dry out again. Oh boy. So we're going to be here for a while for tonight's event then, because it's going to be raining. No surprise for that. Gecko has aborted the lap time, backed off, had an issue somewhere, and is not happy about the way things have gone. We're going to go now to NRM KVS for Haas. First-time winner in RPL. Had that happen in Formula Endurance last week, and also a podium sitter in Tier 1 recently too for Ferrari. He's been here since Season 5 F1. Not familiar with any Tier 2 starts. No F2 wins to his name. Just a win now in Formula Endurance. With that being said, he goes a little wide onto that curb, using a ton of it. And now he's going to go through the left-hand corner following that, where you just let off a little bit. Then the ending bits of Sector 2 are now approaching his way. Yellow flags for the Aston Martin getting out of his way. 8 drivers have set lap times. Gecko, not a representative one, obviously, because he had to back off. Got NRM KVS with a 49.9 on the lap time. Here comes NRM KVS. A little bit of a slipstream in front from an Alfa Romeo a little bit farther away, but NRM KVS goes 6th fastest, just behind Minions, who won a Tier 2 race for the first time, and his only Tier 2 race win in the same season that Owen last won a championship. Let's find out if Blue Goggy can set a lap time to get himself out of Q1. No, he just got himself an invalidated lap time, crossing the white lines there. Wavy coming through now. Goes onto the gravel, kicks up some litter, and backs off of this lap. So we're watching a lot of drivers create some havoc on the racetrack with their car, neither not comfortable with it, have a wet setup on for the race, which is why you might see and Gecko 14.8. That's really good from Gecko to go top of the board. That should be the first lap time that we can say for sure will be safe. But you know, never know. Tadpole is coming through now. After the first sector, he got a 24.1. I'm sorry for the stream glitching right there. I did notice that. Tadpole now going to come through the ending bits of Sector 1. We're going to give you another lap on board with one of our drivers soon here. 49.9 from Tadpole. And those curbs are very easy to... And something that's also really hard to race side by side in, because if you go side by side on those curbs, that could be deadly. That will be a collision waiting to happen. Same with these final 2 corners every once in a while. You just got to be careful with it. Technically, there's one more corner. It's right here, but to the start-finish line, it's going to be Tadpole, 3rd fastest. So our champions of RPL Tier 2 in this race tonight, 4th, 5th, and 6th, and then Zatsi, the first ever pole sitter in RPL F1 on the top 3 of our charts. Got Bulks on a lap, got Beatnik starting a lap. We'll go on board Beatnik, who has had 5 consecutive points finishes the last couple weeks. He returned to Tier 2 in Qatar and has not looked back since. And right now, although he's not contending next season, will be Valkyrie. Valkyrie F1, our only female driver, and she's in tonight's race. She's not got a lap on our board. She is full-time for McLaren Season 12. Also, in that same academy at Alpine, 24.2 from Beatnik, will be Alex Norris full-time as well. So lots to look forward to in terms of our next RPL for Season 12. Not sure what I'll have in terms of a co-commentator. We keep looking for people to transition. It would be smart to get Owen, considering Owen did Tier 1 before. Owen has experience commentating on RPL. If he'd want to do it, he could. That would be very interesting. But 50 completely silent from this last sector. We'll keep on board with it. I just have to put some laundry away. Next lap time was now. Kipu, not the best of lap times in this competitive grid. He's only 13th. And then the Dutch driver who was trying to win at his home race last week, JTK, is on the lap, and everyone's talking about his fast time trial times. And this is exactly why 6/10 clear of the pack. 14-1 in Q1. Valkyrie F1 is also needing to get out of the elimination zone. She is down there with both Alfa Romeos. One already going to be eliminated. One needs to go out on track. And then the other driver that's down there with her had a race ban last week and is now returning this week, just yet to go out on track. And it's Blue Goggy. Blue Goggy and that academy. Familiar with podiums around the circuit. Blue Goggy, age you could say. I commentated a league race here with him a while ago, and like I said, it went a little rocky. So up and down for Goggy. But for that car, this is the only place they've had a podium in all tiers on this game cycle. Tier 2, Imola. And you know what? This is going to play out perfectly for Blue Goggy or even BRT Dom, because it was a rain race last season that got them the podium with Sam Steed and Polo God based on their strategy. An AlphaTauri and a Haas on podium. You know, with the two drivers that are in AlphaTauri and Haas for tonight, example KVS or Minions, and you could even say Dom as well because of how competitive he's been in FE, we could really be seeing an AlphaTauri and a Haas podium tonight. But Blue Goggy needs to get on track because Valkyrie is going to knock Alex bottom 4 area now in just a moment. Valkyrie does need to complete a lap, so if she can just do that, we'll figure out where she stands on our timing table. I think anyone in that top 6 should be safe now, but you just never know, really, with these lap times continuing to improve. Valkyrie did not do the best of laps. She's only 15th fastest, and that elimination zone will be calling her name soon once Alex Norris, Bulks, or even Blue Goggy go out on track. Gecko invalidated, and he was up. Not good from Gecko. Owen is back out on track. KVS is back out on track. We still have drivers who have a chance to improve here and also could be facing elimination, but Minions maybe wanting to save a set. Don't know. Maybe thinking he's safe. 11th place right there. Retiring from the session. It's because he crashed out of the session. So our championship contender, Owen, you're probably wondering why is he winning the championship in a Williams? It's the worst car or second to worst car in the game. Why is he winning the championship? Well, he started the season out in Mercedes and has been that dominant. I don't think he's ever going to get the amount of points scored in one season record that Jack Miles and Owen, one of those two, have. But the record he will get tonight by leading the championship is the most consecutive races as championship leader. We've had 5 different times it's happened with drivers. With 10 races led as championship leader consecutively, Owen Wiggles. Owen became the 6th different time for it to happen in a Tier 2 season just last week of the 11 seasons. But now we'll get that record. So congrats to Owen right there, but he's looking for a record-tying podium tonight, which would equal him with Jack Miles. But right now the lap time is not so great. Purple in the 2nd sector, so it's better than what it was. We're now going to go only on board with him for the last sector. So Owen back into the pit lane after aborting the lap time, but Alex Norris is now on a lap and had invalidated it. So this is a concern for Alex Norris with just a minute remaining. Alex Norris invalidated the lap time and needs to get back to the start-finish line. Wavy Knife, I believe. No, KVS set a lap, and that's 3rd fastest for Haas. That is an incredible lap from the Finnish driver. That is a really good lap time, actually. BRT Dom facing elimination, trying to get out of the bottom 5. Or, sorry, above the bottom 5 and trying to improve on it because he's just barely above it. Excuse me right there. Improving by a 10th, but it wouldn't move him up any places. The good thing for him, though, is that he can improve and not get knocked out completely. But I think he just got to beat minions here, and now he's invalidated, so that is it from him. Bulks on a lap now. Kipu facing elimination for Red Bull. 14th fastest. Kipu wasn't going to get another opportunity at Red Bull for quite a bit, but now with both the main drivers missing, JTK and Kipu both have chances to prove themselves. Bulks coming through the first sector. Checkered flag is waving. Valkyrie could be facing elimination, and Bulks is not going to lap in. And now 24-1, Blue Goggy on a lap 2. Checkered flag. JTK's crossed the line. Mintoki's crossed the line. Owen, Speedy, and Valk as well. Next up's the AlphaTauri. That is Dom, but Dom needs to hope for other drivers not to improve, or else he's out. First driver to cross the line will be a Haas, but I think KVS has already completed the lap. 50.0. Bulks right now through the second sector will get himself safe, but it's the last sector that will be make or break for this Alfa Romeo driver who got a drive-through last week and had his race ruined for what would have been a podium, but this week, now it's to get out of Q1. Two cars crossing the line, and will they get out? Bulks is through. Kipu is barely through. Valk and Alex Norris are out, but now it's up to Alex Norris and Blue Goggy. This can knock Dom or Kipu out. Blue Goggy is out. Now Alex Norris will be out too. An Alpine, a Mercedes, an AlphaTauri, and an Alfa Romeo out of qualifying, made up of 4 different academies throughout the bottom 4. Here is your qualifying order from Q1. We get to have Q2 for the first time in a couple of weeks' time. But Red Bull is on top, and no surprise there with JTK, 0.6 of a gap. Let's see if anyone else has any sandbags on, if JTK can get the gap any farther ahead or any farther down. Gecko, second place winner last week. KVS, third for Haas. Mintoki, debut start in Q1, first couple laps, worthy of a top 5 right there, and Beatnik is 5th, running at that top 5. Some nice surprises going through. Both Haas's are going through in this one. Williams of Owen, no surprise there. Both Haas's going through, like I said earlier, but just to reiterate it, both Haas's. Bottom 5, Alex Norris, Valk, Goggy, and JNT, and Dom just through by the skin of his teeth, just barely. That bottom 4 area, though, JNT crashed out. There were 3 other drivers, though, slow on pace. And Valk, what is she missing on pace? That is a top 3, top 4 car in that bottom 4 area eliminated. And that is really concerning for Valk because she's going to McLaren next season. And now the question becomes, does she even deserve that spot if she's this far off the pace in Q1? Or is it because of wet setups, though? Because this is supposed to be a rain race for later on. A lot of drivers also talking about how they feel like they shouldn't be this far low as well. We've got cars on track for Q2, and now it's time to see who will set themselves in Q3 for a pole position between the drivers. Who will be fighting for the top spot, let alone to be not in elimination in that bottom 5. If you have any predictions, chat now, but some drivers are running really close to one another on outlaps, trying to get going. And this does concern me about, even though the sun is coming out, is there any rain coming soon in qualifying? Doubt it, though. Sounds like it's only the race from what the drivers have mentioned. We've got our first runner coming across the line, which will be Owen. We're going to watch him because he is the championship leader. Yellow flags further in back, but Owen is coming across the line with DRS applied, battery being drained already. And we'll see what the championship leader can do. How can he set himself up for qualifying to get him in a Q3, let alone have a good starting spot to where he can win the championship today. In fact, it was, I believe, the last time that he won the championship in Tier 2. It came at Monza as well, another Italian track. This time it's in Imola that it could come today. And coming through Sector 1, a 24-4. Let's see what the Irish driver is hiding. In terms of our successful drivers in RPL out of the Ireland nation, I would say Owen is the most successful one, trying to get a 4th championship in Tier 2. If you count F1.5, though, Jack Miles and him have the same amount of championships of 3. But Owen is just looking to one-up Jack Miles. Jack Miles as well, the most successful Tier 2 driver based on the podiums. But now here comes Owen, 50.9. It's not the best of second sectors. And you can tell he's sliding. And almost around and into the barrier for just a split second. Maybe just missing it. But, oh my, Owen having tons of trouble right there in the beginning parts of Sector 3 on those curbs. Now the Alpine is coming across the line. That is Tadpole. He is the Season 7 champion. And let's see what he can do for Alpine. 17.4 from Owen, 15.9 from Tadpole. Easily improving there from Tadpole based on the fact that Owen made a mistake. And next to cross the line will be a Mercedes. It's Speedy. He's starting a lap. He invalidated the first one, but now his second one, which is going to be his actual lap, will be valid. The Haas comes across the line of minions to top Tadpole. Into Sector 1, we're now watching Speedy, who's on a lap for Mercedes, to see if he can better that. Right on board. And invalidated. He gone over the white lines and exceeded the track limits. Not so good from him. We got BRT Dom, who's going to be starting a lap and could be trying to get out of the bottom 5. Because, although he's not set a lap, though, he's going to be the one that's going to be facing elimination the most, being in what is the slowest car in this game cycle, I would say. Goes back and forth a lot between the AlphaTauri and the Williams, so we'll see what happens. 24-3 from Dom, but I don't think it's been the best of first sectors, and I don't think this car is helping his situation either. It does show how powerful the Red Bull is, though. 2 drivers, and Kipu not making the most of it so far. But I hope that will change for him because he does have some great pace in that AlphaTauri. No pressure on his name, and invalidated lap time from BRT Dom. Next up is Zatsu, who took his first pole position in Tier 2 this season, so let's see if he can replicate that by making a good lap time in Q2 and then setting himself up for Q3. And Zatsu is spinning around. I look off for 1 second, and he's spinning off. Dom on used tires would make more sense to why that happened. I'm looking back at how Zatsu spun now. Oh, that is going to be a penalty likely to the Alfa Romeo. I just watched that back, and that is not good from Bulks trying to get out of the way. That is an Academy teammate blockage right there. Oh, boy. Got BRT Dom now on a lap. He was on used sets, and I think he's still on used sets, though, but probably on a lap at this point. We've got another car crossing the line. That was Speedy. Third fastest. Hunted, by the way, went fastest not too long ago. We've kind of got ourselves out of order. 8.5 minutes remaining in Q2. Good to know that it's at least dry quality, though, by the way. Thank you, by the way. Got Beatnik on a lap for McLaren. This could get interesting for the American driver. One of the only American drivers to win an RPL's lower divisions. If you count F1.5, Scyther would be on that list. But in terms of Tier 2 stats only, Beatnik's our only American winner. Let's find out what Beatnik can do. Through the second sector now. Parabolica light corner on the circuit. A lot of famous corners around this circuit for good and bad reasons. But here comes Beatnik through the second sector now. Let's see what the lap time is going to be. 50.3 through there. Through the sector split. Jumping, hopping all over these curbs and now riding the exit curb to try to find more speed in that McLaren. 30% of that battery, so he's going to be very low in deployment when he crosses the line, as you'd expect. KVS goes third fastest. Haas are looking good at a Q3 appearance. Beatnik is struggling now through the last bits of Sector 3. Across the line, only sixth. Zatti improving for Ferrari after he had a little bit of a spin there due to a teammate in the academy at Alfa Romeo getting in the way, but this time, nothing in the way for him. Top of the board, fastest in Q2, 14.5. Next across the line will be one of our other drivers, JTK, who's looking at setting himself top of the table. He did so in Q1, and he got pole position for the first time last week in Zandvoort. But this time, it's not as big of a gap in Q1. 37 thousandths the difference. Gecko is next for Ferrari. Can Gecko get himself up in the top 3 area? 6 different teams make up that top 6 right now. That's pretty competitive considering this grid for tonight. Wet race, though, so not everything too representative compared to what we'll see in the race. Gecko, though, fastest, 14.3. He betters JTK, and the top of the table has just changed for the 3rd time in the last 60 seconds, we could say. The Alfa Romeo driver, the Hungarian driver on a lap, but actually not really improving anything because he's backed off of it. Owen needing to improve in this lap for sure. Almost going over the white lines right there. Exceeding the track limits for just a split second, but the game didn't ding him for it. Just to clarify, for those of you now watching, because this question was asked in Team Principal chat, because Bonkers is not racing, it's now down to Gecko on winning the having a chance at the championship with Owen. Bonkers is now no longer eligible because of it, but Owen comes across the line to be 6th fastest, making it a 7th different team. Actually, 8th? Yeah, 7 different team in the top 8, excuse me. Tadpole now on a lap as well. He won the last wet race, in fact, in Canada. That was when he was driving for McLaren at the start of the season. But now he's an Alpine. Had a lot of screen freezes, so he went back down a car. So let's find out what he can do. 6/10. That is really good if he's trying to get himself out of this bottom 5, but 4 drivers yet to set laps. Now the final sector and the final couple of braking zones are approaching Tadpole's way. And now the start-finish line is right in front of his hands. Here he comes. DRS applied. Rear wing open to the line. It's going to be 6th fastest. And now another team into Q3 right now. BRT Dom is also trying to get himself out of elimination. Right now the 5 who'd be getting relegated was Beatnik, Bulks, Wavy, Dom, and Kipu. And I say was because Dom could be making a difference in about 90 seconds time. Here he comes. Dom on a lap, approaching turn 1. Now turn 2, the braking zone. This is a tricky section to get your way through. Got to use a bit of curbs, but you don't want to slide on them. Not turning in too much there, but he actually made it work a lot better than I thought he would. Now the second chicane here. A lot of chicanes around this circuit. No exceeding track limits that time, but 24-0 for the first one. The hairpin now, which you can take multiple lines through, Dom is doing. Dom used the inside preferred line through there. A little bit of a kink right there, and then the left-hand corner. Now the right-hand corners. This could be where things get tricky. It's make or break in this last sector now for Dom. He has to set a lap that's good enough because this could be one and done. 49.9. This is looking quite good from Dom, but keep it valid. Keep the chicane quite well. And right there through the curbings, it looked okay. Looked a little submissive from Dom in comparison to how we've seen other drivers take it. But now the final sector here. A home race for Ferrari, a home race for AlphaTauri. Hoping to make this team proud. Invalidated. That is not what is going to make the team proud. And that is the pit lane calling his name for new tires at this point. He is invalidated for a second straight time there on a lap. Minions is now on the halfway point in the circuit. Up a little bit in the time. Trying to get a better lap time because he's on the bubble area right now in 10th. 2/10 up. This would get him up to 9th, but not ahead of KVS, the teammate. Minions is approaching the final couple of corners, and let's see what he could do. Can he improve the lap time? He's got a car in front of him. Will that cause dirty air? The answer so far, no. Now across the line for Minions. He will get ahead of Speedy, but not ahead of KVS. Wavy might be our proper final hot lap we watch of the drivers in the bottom 5. Right now, Speedy's the one at risk in 10th. And we'll see how that all works out. With that being said, lap time now on hand for Wavy. Actually had a really decent race Wavy did in FE last week, but he's had wheel issues the last couple weeks in Tier 2 that prevented him from racing for a little while. So let's see what happens. And Wavy's backed out of this, but he's going to need to do another lap time. With that being said, on a lap in that bottom 5, Beatnik. Speedy also on a lap above the bottom 5, and now here comes Beatnik through the first sector for McLaren. Racing Red Bull next season, so he should be showing himself why he deserves that seat. Because if he doesn't show himself in this McLaren, besides that one podium that he had, then what does he deserve? A 10th up in the time from Whopper Man. Minions retires, 9th place, not going to get another lap on track. Tadpole, Haunted, Zatzi's, JTK, Gecko as well can say the same. KVS went 5th fastest. Pretty good lap time from him, but Beatnik is improving by 5/10 and may need more in this last sector. It shows the difference between those used and newer tires right now on Beatnik, because he said in the Twitch chat he was on used tires for the first run. Wavy is 12th fastest and at least has a time on the board, but it's not looking good for him. He will need another lap. Dom crosses the line to get another lap in. And now Beatnik is crossing the line now to get the checkered flag. And he will be 7th. Safe for now. Knocks Minions out. And Speedy just absolutely did the favor there. Pulling a double whammy. Owen's 10th. He does not need other drivers behind to improve. Wavy's up by 3/10. Bulks is on a lap. Dom is improving, I think, from what he was originally doing. Yes. Kind of. Kipu checker flag now. I told you Wavy might be that last hot lap we see. Then it became Beatnik, but Kipu is going to be the first one across the line. We're going to see if this will get him out of the bottom 5. If it doesn't, this will be a concern for Kipu and Red Bull. Getting another chance in Red Bull is Kipu, but his teammate second. Can he go up there with him? No, Kipu is out, and he is in the relegation zone. That is elimination from the Red Bull driver. Wavy's invalidated. He crossed the white line, so he's not going to get through. The Alfa Romeo driver of Bulks, now who impressed last week, is trying to get through himself. Can he do so? Owen is out. Owen is out by 20 thousandths. Dom invalidated, so that's it. Owen, Minions, Kipu, Wavy, and Dom, the bottom 5. And Q3 is going to be made up of many, many different teams here. The only similar ones that I noticed that I could see and point out right now is 2 McLarens, 2 Ferraris. That helps McLaren for their sake in the constructors. That will help Ferrari start up front and fight their way up on Red Bull and Mercedes. But one Red Bull in, one Mercedes in, two Ferraris, two McLarens. Big surprise on debut, which we've not talked about, is Mintoki. Good lap from him. Speedy as well, improving for Mercedes. Bulks as well for Alfa Romeo. In KVS for Haas. That's to be expected considering he's a, tier 1 podium sitter and now race winner in FE. The only surprise Invade says out is Owen. I would somewhat agree, but I think the thing is, though, is that I think Kipu is a big surprise as well. Did not expect him to be out for Red Bull. I really didn't. I really thought he'd be able to get through at least a little bit, but not at all. Too much pressure for the Red Bull drivers got to him. In the relegation zone, that bottom 5, Owen, Minions, Kipu, Wavy, and Dom, made up of 5 different constructors, including Williams, Haas, Red Bull, Aston, and AlphaTauri. In terms of academies with the most cars through and into Q3, Ferrari with 4. Q3 is going to be coming up shortly, folks. Get your predictions in chat now. While you do so with your predictions, we will be taking a quick 30-second ad break.
It's almost a given that the drivers on the grid today were kart racing as children, so they could enter the sport with as much experience as possible. It hasn't always been like that though. In the 1950s, the average age of the drivers was 39, with 3 over the age of 50. Sebastian Vettel holds the F1 record for the shortest time elapsed before picking up a penalty. He was caught speeding in the pit lane in practice for the 2006 Turkish Grand Prix, almost immediately after he exited the garage, just 9 seconds into his F1 career. Formula One is named as such because the participants agreed to a set of rules where the formula are the rules.
Time to get Q3 underway. Let's see what happens. For pole position, for what's going to be a wet race on our hands. There is 12 of you watching. Time to make some pole predictions, and you actually can make some decent pole predictions because dry track for now. Sunny conditions. We'll find out who's on a dry setup and who's on a wet setup, though. Doesn't mean it's going to be too representative for your pole time, but now time to predict the top 3. With that being said, we're going to go over pit stop loss and ERS gain back in the pit lane now. I think your ERS gain back would be 21%. Pit stop loss, 19 seconds. But factor in, though, it's going to be raining in the race, so this could be a little unrepresentative, but that's what the usual circumstances tell us. Pole positions this season of the drivers in this session. We've got Gecko with 1. We've got Hunted with 1. We've got Zatsy with 1. And we've got GTK with 1. We don't have any repeat pole sitters in tonight's session, such as Bonky with 2, Owen with 3, and now we got Beatnik on a lap trying to get a first pole position of Tier 2 this season tonight. He will start us off on a final session, first time of this session, hot lap. I know that was a tongue twister for you all, but my top 3 will probably be, I see you guys doing it, I'll do it too. I think my top 3 will probably be, I'm going to go with, no particular order, JTK, Gecko, Hunted. Maybe KVS can sneak in that top 3, I don't know. This is tough. Got JTK pole, Red Bull just superior, JTK, Gecko, and KVS, JTK, Gecko, Zatsy. All right, well, there you go. There's your top 3 predictions from our chat. Minico, Invade, and Zomans TV. Here comes Beatnik, 49.8. This is looking much better through the second sector than what we've been used to seeing so far through this session. Q1 and Q2, and now Q3, where the gloves are off. Here comes Beatnik into the final couple of corners, keeping the lap time valid thus far. Let's have it stay that way for him. The benchmark is a 14.7. Mintoki coming back in the pit lane after invalidating. Gecko's across the line now for Ferrari. We didn't get to see much of this lap, but it's 14.2. Fastest of anybody. JTK about to start a lap soon. Zatsi on a lap, but backed off. Something happened there. Now it's Hunted, who's taken 8 pole positions since he's made his return to RPL. Let's see if he can add a 9th tonight and a 2nd on the season. He's going to Mercedes next season, so maybe not the best of qualifying cars on his hands, so get it all out while you can tonight. Speedy's 3rd fastest. Hunted was not on a representative lap right there at all. Zatsi on a lap now. KVS crossing the line. What is this going to be for him? A nice little shock for 3rd place. Who's on a lap? Let's see. Tadpole completing one. Then we'll go back to Hunted. We're just scattering all over our drivers here. Getting as many laps as we can in. Tadpole, the champion from Season 7. Let's see where he goes. 3rd fastest. Not a bad lap from Tadpole. Hunted now on a lap. 10th, 2nd up, actually, not a 10th up. Got a Mercedes in the way. That's Speedy. I don't think Speedy is on a lap at all. Speedy is not on a lap. 47 seconds through, so 6 seconds slower compared to what Hunt is doing. So Hunt is not going to be happy that Speedy's in the way and causing dirty air. But will Speedy get out of the way anytime soon? The answer looks to be no for now. So Hunted will have traffic in his way on this lap. And this could be seeing the steward's office because this has happened for a almost full sector now. Speedy is still not getting out of the way of Hunted. And Speedy will likely be seeing the steward's office. No doubt Hunted has just been affected by this one. Look at how much Hunted has been affected by that. Had to back off a lot. JTK now trying to go for a 2nd consecutive pole position after not having a pole position before. A lot of 2nds, a lot of 3rds. But not a bridesmaid for pole position anymore. 49.0. Purple through the 2nd sector. Let's see what he could do. The Dutch driver. Another Dutch driver in this session with Zatsi. Right now they're 9th and 10th, but they're just trying to improve as much as they can based on what their original laps were. JTK, here he comes across the line to take pole position number 2 provisionally. 13.8. Polk's also set a lap at 6th fastest. Mintoki on a lap as well for Aston Martin. Coming up soon. Zatsi soon as well. Mintoki on a lap. Miniko talked about Miniko and Mintoki making some good hay for Aston Martin in terms of their pace. I can see it. Mintoki on debut. Here he comes. Or Aston Martin. Let's see what happens through Sector 1. 24-0. Looking not too shabby here from the Aston Martin driver. $49.7. Well, we had 1 DNF last week, and it was an Aston Martin, and they've had 6 DNFs this season. So, not the best of sights for them, but to have Mintoki in this qualifying session in Q3, I think, is their bright spot in the last recent weeks. Let's see what this lap time's looking like for the Aston Martin driver on debut. 5th fastest. That's not too shabby at all. We're going to see if Zatsi crosses the line anytime soon to start a lap. I think the McLaren is going to go before him. That's Hunted. Also, KVS as well in on the mix and just dicing things up. Just trying to get in between the pack of cars. Well, chat, how are you liking your pole prediction guesses right now after what you've seen? By the way, I should mention the upcoming races for Tier 2 this season to end off things for our Constructors fight, which will continue next week. Drivers not guaranteed. Constructors is Portugal and Vegas. KVS giving a little nice slipstream there to Zatsi. How about that for Ferrari Academy? We're on board with Zatsi, who's now trying to go for pole position number 2. The other one was at Austria. Good track for the Ferrari in qualifying. Another good track for Ferrari in qualifying and even in the race. The last time we had a Ferrari win in Imola, it was Darius. And we have a Ferrari spun around. That was Gecko. Zatsi now coming through this first sector. Completed already. Second sector up on his hands now. Let's ride on board with Zatsi so he completes this lap and give him the spotlight. Sector 2, 48.9. That's not too bad at all. And let's have it go silent for the last sector, the last corners. Here is his lap time. Not going to be complete now. Zatsi goes pole! By 7 thousandths, and I don't think we're done seeing the top of the table change, or let alone that top 3 area change. Do we have Gecko on a lap now? If we got Gecko on a lap, we're going to watch him instead of Hunted. In that top 3 area. Gecko's backed off. We're now watching Hunted. 3 seconds up and needing to do more. Hunted is coming through at fast left. Mentoki 4th fastest for Aston Martin. Beatnik 5th. Tadpole 6th. KVS as well. A little closer back. Hunted improving by a lot. Probably not going to be last at this point based on the way things are anymore. A minute remaining in the session. You need to get out now and get your lap started soon before the checkered flag waves. Hunted, the Welsh driver, champion of last season. Coming through, 1 pole position this season. That comes in Texas. Can he make it 2 this season? Crosses the line now. 14.4. Gets ahead of the teammate, but not going to be pole. Gecko's invalidated. Gecko starts yet another lap. And Gecko will need to do more, surely. We know that already. 410's back. It's JTK versus Zatsi for pole position as of right now. Will that change anytime soon? We got Gecko coming through Sector 1 now. How much of an improvement is this, if any? 4 thousandths. He will need to find more in the second sector. And it looks like Gecko's backed out of it. Checkered flag's waving. Zatsi's already crossed the line for the checkered flag. And for Zatsi's sake, he is holding on to pole position right now. But JTK is coming through the first sector, improving by 26 thousandths. He's got a lot more left on his plate to try to knock off for pole position. Mentoki is in the top 5. The McLaren of Hunted invalidated the second lap, so nothing going to be done there. The top 5 still staying the same as of the current moment. You got a Mercedes is speedy crossing the line soon. JTK is coming through the second sector. Bulks has destroyed his front wing. JTK is improving by 68 thousandths. Speedy next into the pit lane. KVS next into the pit lane. So troubling for those guys. Beatnik across the line. This is going to be a pole position for Beatnik. Beatnik only 5th, just behind the teammate. So that's not too bad from Beatnik. But JTK is trying to claim pole position number 2. Can it be 2 consecutive poles? 1 week ago, after his first ever one in RPL, he has done it. Tadpole 5th for Alpine. Right in a McLaren sandwich. That's quite neat from him. An impressive lap time from Tadpole, but JTK beats both Ferraris to pole. Trying to take win number 1 in RPL. Pole number 2 might just help that, but a wet race on our hands. Here's your top 5 qualifying order from the session. JTK, Zatzia, Dutch 1-2, Gecko, and then Hunted, and then Tadpole. Little disappointment from Beatnik and Speedy, I'd say, but KVS still in this session as well. Up there, somewhat. Bulks as well for Alfa Romeo. Interesting qualifying session, to say the least. But yeah, JTK, second pole position after his first one the previous week. That shall be interesting. So set a wet race, but it's raining 10 to 15 minutes in. So we're going to see what the strategy looks like here. Does anybody choose to start on softs? Mediums maybe be an option. If the rain was fake and not true with what some of the drivers said, is it going to be hards then? Let's find out what the drivers will do about it. 32 laps on our hands tonight in Imola. Just a reminder for where we are the rest of the weekend for those newcomers tuning in. We've got F1 Tier 1 tomorrow in Austria, and Formula Endurance, the 100% tier in Qatar. Biggest blocking I've ever seen is what Reese said in terms of what happened to Hunted earlier. I can't disagree. It's hard to. It's the most blatant one. That's going to be a straight qualifying ban, I would say. I don't see how it wouldn't be. I know they tried to not give it out as much, but gonna be hard not to. And if so, oh well, it's deserved. That was really bad. He's supposed to get out of the way. He wasn't even on a lap. Rain comes light, gets more wet, then less wet, then dry again. Sounds like something rated R for this stream. I don't know. Lights are about to come on soon. Drivers fixing fuel, strategy, and whatever it may be. Here come the 32 laps for us in Imola. Final predictions. Get them in now. Let's see what happens. Last time we were in Imola, did rain in Season 9. Here come the 5 red lights on the day Owen can claim title number 4 in Tier 2. It's lights out, and away we go. That was a little bit of a quick start, but JTK didn't mind it. He got off the line decently, and now battles Zatsi. Hunted got through in Gecko. 2x2 race to turn 1. JTK is out in front, and nearly 3 wide in the background. Side by side throughout many rows deep throughout the field. Tadpole getting Beatnik. Gecko about to fall behind even further for the race lead. Zatsi and JTK spinning in the back. Minions, Kipu, lap 1 troubles. Now, further back, Beatnik is losing places. He went wide there at the hairpin. How is that going to affect Beatnik? And now Hunted for second place is trying to get this one already. Oh, and Zatsi has gone off the road and gone wide, and he re-enters right in the path of Hunted and Gecko, and here comes Gecko getting Hunted now. Side by side of the chicane, they backed off, they figured it out. Let's see if the rest of the field does so too. The AlphaTauri of Dom getting a tap. Blugagi and Wavy are close to one another again. That's a little scary to know. Lap 1 about to be complete though. And it's JTK leading the way before the rain comes. 2 positions for Speedy. 1 for most of our drivers. 3 for Dom. 4 for Valk. 3 for Goggy. 3 for JNT. But the big losers, Kippu and Minions, the 2 spinners in Sector 1. Everyone else, though, who started this race on mediums or hards. No one going softs at the start. Those softs do die quickly, so no surprise. Valk getting Dom, and Dom now spinning. Dom is around, and Wavy, I think, may have got collected because he's lost 2 spots now. Not good from Wavy to be involved in another incident if possible. JNT and Blugagi now. JNT gets Blugagi. What else are we looking at the front of the field for drivers trying to trade spots? Is there anything else on our hands? Not from the look of things right now. Right now with Owen being 10th and Gecko being 3rd, Gecko gains 14 points. But you know what that means? Owen would not claim the title today. However, for the constructor's sake, with the things looking the way they are, a Red Bull leading the race, and now a Ferrari of Gecko losing it. That was treacherous from Gecko, and now he's got everyone else behind him getting needy. Speedy and Tadpole going through. For the lead, Zatsi's getting close on JTK, just not close enough for a move. However, Gecko all out of shape. I was just going to say with the constructors things right there with a Red Bull being 117 and now 2 and 5 for Ferrari. Gecko getting a Tadpole. 1-2-4. Right there for them. Ferrari gained points on Red Bull. Red Bull obviously going to gain points on Mercedes. But McLaren, I think they at least closed the gap a decent size to where they're still eligible come the penultimate round next week. Not last week. Next week. And we see Speedy trailing Tadpole by just a hair here into the chicane. You got a DRS train right now forming on lap number 3 of this race. And further on back, JNT is also on Valk as well. A nice little slipstream pass right there. I was going to say DRS pass, but there's no DRS in that section. Speaking of DRS, Zatsi has it. JTK defends from it. And how much longer can the Red Bull defend? Zatsi on the outside line will take the lead of the race. But JTK sticks his nose in there and spins him out from the lead. Zatsi now out of the points. And Hunted has been passed by Gecko. And now Gecko will put pressure on the race leader JTK. And it's close up the pack and Hunted slid. Oh, dear. Was it fair for JTK to stick his nose in there? Was he alongside? I just don't know. JT lets the Academy teammate go. JNT doing the right thing as team principal, I'd say, considering the Ferrari just spun. Well, got spun. He didn't just spin, he got spun. He clearly got a tap from JTK. It was quite obvious who he got a tap from, but it's a matter of was JTK right to stick his nose in there and keep it alongside when he was already overtaken there by turn 1. Just a question the stewards will have to look out for later on. If that does affect anything, it would be Gecko leading. We'll see if they do penalize at the RPL stewards. Owen, Jack, and Luke. Gecko still trailing JTK now. Now it's another Ferrari. He's going to try to go around the outside, but he thought better of it. He saw what happened to one Ferrari. Didn't want to happen to the other. Excuse me. Kippu gets Blugagi. Usually teammates, but tonight they're just only Academy teammates. Let's see. This train is still just quiet with one another, and Owen up to 8th because of that. That's 3 more points actually than what he previously had. Gecko 3 more points than he previously had as well. That's 18-4. Still not going to make a difference in terms of this championship being won tonight. And especially wouldn't if it ends up being a penalty for JTK in that incident. So DRS train still follows suit, same way. No one getting track limit penalties just yet. Everyone keeping it clean within the track limits on lap number 5. And as the clouds do get darker, we are expecting rain within the first 10 to 15 minutes of this race. So far, with 1 minute 15 lap times here, about 6.5 minutes being completed this event. So no surprise if the rain does come soon. We'll just have to see who has the pit lane first. And now here comes Gecko around the outside in the braking zone, just giving JTK a little bit of threatening by turn 2. The first braking zone, though. Yeah, I'm thinking it'll be a pen for JTK too, but I don't want to speculate because you know how that will go. I just don't want to do that. I know how that goes sometimes by speculating. You could end up being wrong. I don't want to be wrong with that. But this DRS train right now, while DRS is online, goes all the way back to 10th. And this track is just continuing to get darker and darker and darker. Beatnik is now looking on Speedy. If he was going to make a move there, that'd be very, very risky to do. Gecko just trails by a little bit, but how much longer does he sit in behind JTK? By the way, Dom, the first driver to pick up a penalty of some sorts. Further on back, J&T is getting Zatsy as well. Another DRS swap between Ferrari Academy teammates and Kipu now up 1 on Alex Norris. And a 3-car battle toward turn 1. I don't think this is over yet because Alex Norris on the outside. Contact. J&T, excuse me, has been tagged as well. He was off at turn 4 there. Alex Norris, the one using the escape road, coming back on. J&T, though, down to 18th. Now a little bit of a breakaway between Gecko and JTK. DRS train now becomes 9 runners instead of 10. Bulks has dropped off. Zatsy trying to gain it back. And I don't know if there was contact between him and J&T, but that'd be the second time he would have collided with an Academy teammate. Zatsy would be referring to. No rain just yet, folks, but we have still racing resuming and battles resuming up in the front of the field. Owen is also trying to get KVS, but he's just not close enough at all. And Kipu is being threatened now by Valk. Here goes Kipu on the outs, or the inside with Valk on the outside. Kipu put up all he could, but now Kipu will try to get this back here in the ending bits of Sector 1 and the middle part of the circuit. No other overtakes being done on the circuit right now, but the 2 leaders have really pulled away, just like last week once again. This is interesting. Why has Gecko and... Oh, hold on. Beatnik and Speedy side by side. Beatnik using the runoff, and they make contact. And they continue to make contact. Zatsy with a penalty. Speedy on the order. Speedy got all out of shape, and now 3 wide of the chicane. Beatnik's tapped Owen, and around goes Owen. It's everything kicking off here as the rain, it looks like, starts to fall down just shortly. Mintoki down the order, and it's just treacherous here in the last sector for these guys. Just battling it out for the contact and the accordion effect, and KVS has now got the best out of it. 5th place here, and you see the rain now finally falling down. Hunted and Tadpole have got the upper edge and the advantage for 3rd place. Owen also got Zatsy as well in the thick of things. Speedy as well, not trailing Beatnik by a lot. Speedy also has Mintoki. Pitting his minions and Gagi. Kipu got Valk. Are these intermediate tires? Yes, they are. They are, and they feel like it's going to be the right time to go for it. With them being this far back, they'll get the upper edge if the rain falls right in their hands, and it looks like even with this rain, from what we've been told by minions and other drivers, this could be full wets eventually. And Gecko costing himself with a 3-second time penalty. Keep in mind, based on Beatnik and Owen's collision, not the first time that's happened. That's happened more times than we think, but either way, do we see other drivers head to the pit lane? Is it time for the intermediate tires? Gecko's in. Others staying out. KVS is in. They feel like it's time, but it's not getting heavy at all yet for Inters. They want to beat the others to the pit lane, and Ferrari are double stacking. There is at least going to be, by the end of this lap, a third of the drivers on intermediate tires. And let's see how they handle this. Yeah, now basically 12th on down on Inters. Dom staying out. How does Blue Gagi and Minions get the jump, if anything? They don't, because they were that far back after what happened to them. But at least with where they're at, they can jump Alex Norris, Valk, and Kipu on these Inters. Not the best of flying laps, I guess you could say, but this pit lane gets tricky because you can now see Minions going through, Alex Norris staying ahead of Blue Gagi, but that easily could have been a collision based on the way the pit exit is here. It's not wet enough, I agree. I don't think it's wet enough, but they're going to risk it. They're going to try it. They're going to do what they want. We'll see if anyone else comes in the pit lane. I'm going to quickly be right back in about 10 seconds. Gecko and Dom, though. Dom getting ahead of Gecko. I just think it's going to be soon here for the Inters, but how soon are we talking? JTK, pits. Now here comes the others. BRT Dom, a part of the penalty club, and now it is getting really treacherous out there. JTK, the net leader. And now look at this. Some of these guys jumping one another. This has become a wet race, no doubt about it. And JNT Mintoki, Beatnik missing out here on an opportunity to pit. And they're going to be really swarmed up here. But are they going to lose out as much as we think they will? I mean, we see JTK gaining a little. So, of course, they're going to be undercut, but by how much are we talking? That'll become the question. 16.9 the gap, 16.8. If they pit this time, they might not be terribly behind, honestly. But a lot more pit stop loss, I guess, in terms of difference in the wet. Beatnik is in. Lost about a second that lap. In comparison to JTK, our net leader now. Gecko is now up to net P2, Hunted, Tadpole, KVS. Let's see if anyone jumped anyone. I'd say Minions did jump some people considering how far back he was at the start. Let's now see what it looks like with JTK and Beatnik. Long pit lane here a little bit. Kinda. Beatnik should be out near that Tadpole Hunted battle. And now finally the cue to come into the pit lane, which is DRS disabled, has been notified to the drivers and us. Beatnik is 6, so this will be interesting. Speedy coming out of the pit lane ahead of Mintoki. Bulk's ahead of Mintoki. A little late for those guys, a lap late, but if they did it the same lap as Gecko and JTK, I think they would have got something out of it. KVS is one who got something out of it. He's 5th. And now this becomes, to some, what you'd call a boring race just because the field would be sprung out so much. Not a lot of action. It'll be having to make overtakes trickily, and now tricky overtakes being made here at Minions. Alex Norris and all these guys. AlphaTauri teammates swap. Can Alex Norris put the power down and get by Minions? Penalty for Minions is going to cost him later on. 5 drivers with penalties. All of them for track limits, except for I think the 5-second that Dom got. Now it becomes like Canada. Fresh inners are much faster even for one lap, and that's a fair point that Minico makes in the chat. We'll see how that does affect the drivers, and a little bit of a wiggle from Alex Norris. Here's Kipu on the back to pounce now for 15th. This is not where we're used to seeing Kipu run, even when he's an AlphaTauri. JNT and Blugagi race it up now. Mintoki and Bulks as well, a battle up further in front. 8th place is now his. And now Alex Norris and Kipu. JNT and Blugagi. This is just battles galore throughout the guys who are not up in the front of the field. And now Beatnik and KVS. KVS using the left side. Maybe to let Beatnik go or just defend. Who knows? Beatnik is now ahead. Only KVS knows why he did that. Don't know if he was going to push the issue with Beatnik or not, but that's okay. Even with the penalty Gecko has right now, Gecko would still keep himself in championship contention over Owen, but it really becomes quite unrealistic. You need Owen to have a lot happen, and now he's going wide and missing each corner here in the ending bits of Sector 2. This is treacherous for the Williams driver. I don't know if that was due to no ABS or what it was for him, but it's only a matter of time before he wins the championship. Is he lagging? Further on back, Valk and Minions. Oh, little contact. Minions pushing Valk along now. Kipu there to pounce. 4 cars under a blanket contact. And now 3 wide. They're all trying to get by Valk. Minions through. Or is he? Contact into the wall. Kipu got through, but Minions couldn't without contact. And now Valk has been passed by 3 cars, and she was not letting go of Minions. Oh, dear. And Zatsy's been spun around. Zatsy has had issues now. He's around. He was near Wavy when that happened. At 14 now of this race. Just a reminder, if you want to tune into RPL next week, Portugal for Tier 2. Vegas the week after for Tier 2. To end off the Tier 2 season. Owen, 3-second penalty. Made a mistake. This is troubling for our championship leader. We're not used to seeing this. He's finished in the points in all races he's done this season. He's not done every race, though. The one who has? Zatsy. He's also finished every race he's done, too. Gecko's done every race, too. He's not finished every race. He's DNF'd a few times this season. Which is why he's back more points in the championship than expected. But since making that RPL return, he's been a nice little surprise. 3-car battle here. Further on back, it's a 5-car battle, and it's one that's just going to never end, it seems. Dom on the back of Valk. Dom going out on the outside line of Valk. Can't do it. And now they race toward the second chicane. Dom going ahead. I will say, because of that DRS stream we had earlier in the race, we do have a battle now for the podium. It's Hunted, Tadpole, and Beatnik. And then a battle for 6th on back as well to 8th. Owen is not safely in the points with that penalty, that's for sure. JTK could be getting penalized for his incident, but Gecko has a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Here we go. The button being engaged by Mintoki. Here he comes. Yellow flags further back. It's an Alfa Romeo J&T. We ignore it for now because that's outside of the points because there's now a 3-car race to turn 1. Turn 2, actually. Speedy, head of Mintoki, then KVS down 2 places. Alex Norris using the battery. Might be the only way to get past this point for some of these guys. Now Beatnik has gone through on Tadpole for 4th. Next target, the teammate. Hunter going to be taking Beatnik's old ride in Mercedes and old Academy next season. Hunted loose right there, letting Beatnik go now, I think. Nope, not going to do it. And Beatnik going to be taking Hunted's old car from last season. Red Bull for next season. Beatnik through and Hunted. Kipu, a 3-second time penalty, not beneficial at all. Beatnik weaving and bobbing right there. We're now past halfway. JTK continuing to pull that gap. Doing so with ease right now, from what we can tell. 5.4. Dom on Minions goes through. Let's talk about JTK's story for a moment. You know, he joined this league, I want to say at the end of the F122 game cycle. And started racing in this league with his brother, Make PK. Everyone calls him a lot of names with things I can't say legally on Twitch, or else it will get banned, but a certain T word. And reasonably so in a way, because Make PK, his brother, not the cleanest of drivers at all. No disrespect, but penalty points showed it. You got a 20 race ban, and has 10 races remaining of that. Both Dutch drivers, both brothers, both related, whatever, brothers, cousins, whatever it is. Family related duo in the league. Val gets a penalty. Not the first time we've had it. We had Aaron Ocon and Polo God, family related duo there, cousins. So of course with JTK and Make PK being related, you'd want to see them both last in the league. JTK earlier this season got dropped to a reserve role after his performances were not so great in the Red Bull. Still stayed in the academy, but was on loan for a few to Mercedes. And at that point, JTK needed to improve on himself and prove himself too. With that said, JTK switched to PC, got P6 in a Williams, then a P4, then a P2, and then another P2 last week. And now he's looking for one spot better. Now, Valkas just went to the west. Now, does she cause others to do the same? It was supposed to get really wet. We'll find out if it does. Minions, wavy, penalties for track limits. Speedy defending on Mintoki with the the overtake button, excuse me. Just as effective as DRS in these conditions, really. But here comes Mintoki trying to send it to the inside. Side by side at turn 2. Speedy staying ahead and keeps the place for now. Alex Norris with a little slide there off the final corner. And Minions comes through now and will reclaim another place that he once had. You know, Valk is interesting with those wet tires. Is this a little early? Is it not? It does look like it's getting wetter, and it said it would. And she is actually not losing out on any time. So for those engineering and listening to the stream, keep in mind of this, that Valk has just gained 5/10 on Blue Goggy. It is Blue Goggy, though, an AlphaTauri, a slower car, and a slower driver than our top 5. So take that into consideration. But something to note, Minions, Kipu. A little mess up here from Kipu has allowed Minions and Dom to go through by him being off the circuit. I'm really interested to see if anyone pits for wets now, but is it just going to be wets that are faster for a little bit? Or is it those inner tires that are about the same pace as it? And Owen is just trailing Books by just a little bit now, catching back up. Had a mistake earlier. Now he's trying to make a move. Kipu on Dom. Owen locks the rears, tries to go down the inside and can't do it. Oh no! Gecko with a second track limit penalty. Well, Valk is in, and she's switching off the intermediate tires, or sorry, off the wets, and onto intermediate tires, and is the first retirement of this race, and Gecko comes in for Ferrari. Is this for new inters or wets? It's for new inters. So these guys may be toward their puncture territory or just trying to get it to the end of the race because they know they can't get it to the end of the race on 20-something lap inters. Retirement from Valk. Move made from Owen in a moment. Will he do it? Yes. Down the inside. Side by side. Bulk's a little loose. Off the road. And in Owen's words, he's done it. Bulk's around, though. He lost it, and that was a troubling spot there at turn 4. He reset to track. That will be a penalty for sure. It always is. Kipu through on KVS, and KVS pitted now for new inters. Like we mentioned earlier, Zatsy did too. Alex Norris did too. So these guys trying to make it to the end of the race before getting a puncture in the next 11 laps. Kipu's wide. Oh no. All out of shape for the Red Bull driver, losing 3 places now, and JTK is in. More yellow flags. Now, that is for Owen. The championship leader in trouble, and Gecko goes through, watching that happen. Wavy off the road too. So these guys struggling on their older inters. Mentoki as well, trying to get by Speedy. Oh! Bulks is retired in the pit lane. And left the session. Now the question begs itself, when do these guys who have not pitted for a second time for Inter tires come in? You've got Beatnik, you've got Hunted, you've got Tadpole, Speedy, and Mentoki. Also Owen there as well. And there's a safety car. Wavy's crashed out, and that was at turn 4. Free pit stop for these guys. The McLaren double stack didn't seem like it affected Beatnik and Hunted too badly. But Beatnik comes out of the pit lane in his 2nd place over Gecko. Let's see who has fastest lap, by the way. It's Zatsy, okay. Well, this changes everything because of where Beatnik, Hunted, Tadpole, Mintoki, and Speedy were. Wavy obviously crashing out of the race. But, yeah. Why? Why is Blue Goggy on dry tires? It's a wet track. Gecko is in for a 2nd time under the recent laps. Gecko's making a gamble and going to full wets. Oh. Well then. Does he see something we don't? He's gonna come out 10th, I think. Yes. Maybe 11th. Huh. Alrighty then. Why is he still staying out? Okay. Alrighty then. While trying to catch up to the safety car, BRT Dom has picked up a 3-second time penalty. It will be out 1 more lap, it looks like. Huh. Doritos, purple Doritos. I'm gonna stop now. I know you guys could hear that. I'm hungry, I'm sorry. I need to gain weight. I need to fit in to make a joke. I need to fit in these cars the way that Owen does. Either way, he could be becoming the champion right now based on the way things are. If Gecko doesn't get on the podium this race, he's not going to be eligible for the championship anymore. I'll quickly be right back in just a second, but just a reminder, F1 and FE this weekend at Austria and Qatar, Portugal next week for Tier 2. I'll be back by the time of the restart. Alright, I am back. Safety car in this lap. Alright, let's see what happens. JTK has really backed up the pack, and it's almost caused a little kerfuffle here. Either way. Oh, KVS by Speedy. That might cause some issues, because KVS has to give the place back soon. Based on the way this game is. Beatnik with a penalty. The rest of the top 7 without one. Owen has one, Gecko has one, and right now Owen will be winning the Drivers' Championship. Back underway, JTK is going now. Or not. He has really backed them up, and now he's going. Here we go. Green flag racing back underway. A little bit left in Imola. Speedy getting by KVS. Just a gaggle of cars into turn one. We got both McLarens close to one another. We still have Owen and KVS. You barely can see a thing here. I see why Gecko went to the wets, and Speedy's now lagged out. KVS got Zatsy. Gecko trying to pick his way through these guys. Gecko on wet tires needs to get through fast. Alex Norris is dropping back. And Gecko has to make the most of these wet tires. You can see the grip level and the difference with it. Kipu in the background there too. Here is Gecko down the inside of KVS. Makes the move. A little bit of a gaggle there further on back. J&T in the mix. Kipu, Dom, and Alex Norris. Alex Norris really losing out. He's lagged out. Okay. While that happens, Zatsy got Speedy, who also lagged out too. I don't think I have both of them on EA, but Minions with a penalty now. Another driver in this race with a penalty. Gecko gets Speedy. Minions gets Speedy. And now KVS gets his turn at this too when he fell down the order. Speedy obviously lagging out. Losing tons of places. But Gecko right now, 8th place, is not going to do it for the championship to keep himself eligible. Blue Goggy, a penalty. He's further on back on dry tires. Not going to help his case. But a second lead from JTK. Dom gets Speedy. See what the rain looks like. I want to check another stream here for just a moment to see if any of the drivers are looking at any rain particles. Minions also, and Gecko losing it. Gecko lost the rear and now is down the order. Excuse me. So a troubling sight from Gecko, who's trying to keep his hopes alive for the championship. But right now, even with the penalties applied, it's going to Owen. And he's the championship leader for once again. Another race. And it will be throughout the continuing races if he wins the title. But pitting is Blue Goggy, getting rid of these soft tires. I don't know what he was thinking, but if he was thinking this track was going to dry up, then I understand it. But now the wet tires are really going to be hindering Gecko here, because although there's a lot of spray, I don't think it's really much in that crossover period. It's very interesting. Just now 4.5 laps remaining. Minions out! Minions has crashed! What's happened to Minions? Sorry, no, he's not crashed. He's retired in the pit lane. Why is Minions retired from this race? He was running in the points. I do know there was something that happened with Valkyrie and Minions earlier because Minions was kind of happy that Valk was out of the race. We'll say that. I don't have anyone on EA Wavy. I'm sorry of those guys that lagged out. I thought he crashed in the front straight, but he didn't. You can see his car rolling because he was in the pit lane still. Right now, this podium is going to go to Hunted and Beatnik. Another McLaren double podium. A similar podium to what they had in Austria, in a way. Minions leaving the session, obviously. Maybe frustrated. I don't know why he retired there. But Gecko, our only driver now on hard tires, left in this race. Any driver of the day contenders, I'd say J&T, Owen, Mintoki, JTK. Gecko has been overtaken by Dom, and now another one on the cards. Here goes Speedy through. A little bit of contact, but nothing too risky. Little RG Bargy. Gecko trying to get back ahead and pull a last-ditch effort. I don't think he's going to be able to do this and get to the podium in time, and now he's squirrely. He's losing tons of grip on the wet tires, and this was surely the wrong choice. Right now, the title could be going to Owen, and this could be very interesting to say the least. Right now, the gap between penalties with Tadpole and Beatnik, the gap being 3.5. Tadpole's not close enough for another podium this season, but the other wet race he won in Canada. Beatnik a driver of the day contender, that's fair. I mean, he does have the penalty, though, so that's a concern. But right now, Hunted and Tadpole are not overtaking him, and now Beatnik is closing the gap on JTK on track. I just don't think this is going to be anything worthy of the race win. However, remember, JTK got in the incident with Zatsy earlier on. So if he gets penalized 3 seconds right now, this could be a dead even race between him and Beatnik. And maybe Minions had done her body damage based on the way they were racing back there. I don't know. I don't know who I'm going to give driver of the day to. It's a good question, though. Good thought. JTK's first win. It would be his first win if he can just hold on for 3 more laps. Beatnik is closing in. He's close now to JTK, but Tadpole's closer to Haunted, and Tadpole's using that battery, trying to drain it and get through. Dom with another penalty. J&T also scrapping it out with KVS further on back. J&T is through, up into 8th after that retirement and qualifying. That set him back, and now Gecko, 5-second time penalty. He's out of this race. That is not good from the driver trying to keep himself in championship contention. Right now, by the looks of things, it looks like it's going to Owen for a 4th time in Tier 2. The Irish driver has been the most successful of his nation in RPL. Talk about 2 Tier 1 wins, 12 podiums in that tier. Hell, he's also had an FE podium. And then Tier 2, where things have just gone right for him. It's the tier where he's been a lot better than Tier 1. Zatsy with a penalty, that's inside the points, and that could be affecting where he finishes as well as J&T. Penultimate lap about to be started here soon. But with Owen, he's got F2 wins. Same amount of wins in F2 as Polo got, the other Irish driver. Most for an Irish driver there. Also, with that said, Owen has been the dominant one in Tier 2 of all drivers, but never could do it in Tier 1, and he finally got a podium last week in Tier 1 after his long drought of nearly 4 years. Right now, Beatnik's got the podium quite covered, and even if he gets another penalty, he's still got it covered. We'll keep our eye on penalties. Kipu is also right now not having the best of races. He's also having a little scrap with Mr. Speedy here. And little slide here from Kipu's car, but not going to affect him too badly. Kipu drooling out ahead. Blue Goggy with a penalty for his name. 3 seconds. About to start the final lap, and JTK is about to come home a winner for the first time in RPL if he just holds on. The Dutch driver has been a bridesmaid way too many times. Way too many times. Second place finishes are his motto, really, in RPL with the amount of times he's had it. J&T with a penalty. That's not good. He's trying to get Zatsy and Owen, and he would have had Owen right here. But now JTK playing the slipstream games to turn 2. Final lap underway for one final time to get him his first career win. His brother, Make PK, is still banned for 10 races. And right now, his brother, for all we know, could be watching him about to get a first career win. He's had struggles in F2, he's had struggles in Tier 2, he's had struggles all over. And just similar to Gecko last week, we could be coming home with a first-time winner, but Beatnik, in case JTK gets penalized for that Zatsy incident earlier, he's keeping him on his toes. Not done just yet. Gecko leaves the session, but I don't think it's gonna matter. Beatnik, is he gonna try a last-ditch effort? Beatnik also could be getting penalized for the incident with Owen earlier on. Keep that in mind. Battles continue throughout the whole field. We'll get back to it. For the first time ever in Imola, a wet race and a Red Bull, JTK is an RPL winner. The rest of the field's gonna cross the line behind that, but we now go to Owen. Season 4 was his, Season 8 was his, and Season 9 was his. That all came at Red Bull, but a 4-time champion of Owen has done it. He is the Season 11 Tier 2 RPL champion. The Irish driver has come out on top. He's done it. And he'll have to have his car have a repair job as well in the same time, but 6th place for him claims him his 4th Tier 2 title in RPL. A record setting in the lower division below Tier 1. Jack Miles with F1.5 in Tier 2 had 3. Owen had 3 into today, and now Owen is the champion for a 4th time in Tier 2. Congrats to JTK on a first win. I know it's going to get overshadowed by Owen winning the championship, but JTK drove his heart out, and to me, I know he's in a Red Bull, but assuming he doesn't get penalized, maybe driver of the day. Hunted on podium as well. Another good shout to him because he needs that to happen for McLaren's sake to get them back crawling up in the constructors, and I think they've helped themselves keep them and their chances alive. Here are your final results. JTK, the winner. Beatnik, Hunted, Tadpole, Mintoki, the top 5. Owen, 6th. KVS as well for Haas, a really decent showing. J&T, 8th. Zatsy, 9th. And Speedy rounds out the points. Here are the rest of your results. Kipu just short of points again on the Red Bull. The other Red Bull won the race. I think now it's time to give Owen a championship interview. We gave him one in Season 9. Those were Red Bull, and this time the Mercedes Academy driver is champion. Where is Owen? Is he here? No, now he is. Hello, Owen.
Hello.
Good to see you.
It's my party.
Oh, you might need to include your audio.
I've included
Yep.
it. Does it not work?
Let me see. All right, I can hear you now.
You can hear me on
Awesome.
the stream. Lovely jubbly.
Yes, 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 yes.
Fantastic. Let me end my recording real quick. There we go. Beautiful.
Season 4, Season 8, Season 9, and now Season 11. You have
Dear.
become RPL champion. First off, how does it feel? And tell me about your race.
I'm just relieved, to be honest, that it's over. My race was very unenjoyable. I'm actually watching it back now. So obviously the first stint was pretty decent until me and Beatnik had our little coming together. I was thinking that was going to be my big brain moment of cutting through, getting 3 cars in one, but then I got swiftly destroyed. Then the rain happened, and it was tears. I spun a few times. Then the safety car saved me slightly, and I was able to get a cheeky little P6, and obviously Gecko had a disaster. So championship secured.
So now that the championship is secured, I'm pretty sure you got a full-time Tier 1 seat waiting for you on your hands. How does that feel now, knowing you also got a podium recently in Tier 1 and can prove yourself once again in the tier that you once won in?
It's just relieving, really. Just to know that I can actually try to fight now. I don't really know how to describe. I know the seat's Aston Martin, I think, unless there's been a change of plans. I can't remember. Um, yes, I will be obviously practicing a lot more to try and to get quicker, even quicker. People are probably going to think I'm rapid after Canada, but I'm pretty sure that was a one race wonder where I just had a really good setup and it worked miracles. But yes, I'm just going to be really for the rest of the T1 season just trying to get top like 6s, top 8s and stuff. And hopefully I can do that. And I wonder if he's going to be tier 2 champion next season, because I know that's probably going to be a question on people's minds after the season. If Bonky comes back, maybe JTK with his new rejuvenated pace. I think he'll be up there. Beatnik and Hunted obviously as well if they remain. But I have to say, Mr. Mintalky did a pretty good performance as well. Shout out to him.
Agreed. Agreed.
So I rate it. But yeah, I'm excited for Tier 1.
Yeah, 4 times a champion in Tier 2, Owen. Just to put this into perspective, you include F1.5 for just a second. You and Jack, coming in today, had 3 championships in the lower division of RPL. Now you beat him by 1. I know you're good friends with Jack Miles. I mean, in terms of your legacy for Tier 2, what do you think this does, and what would you describe the season as?
Well, obviously I'm very happy to be a champion again. I think it's about time I bloody left Tier 2, to be fair, and come back to Tier 1. As my Discord name says, I'm a bit of a Tier 2 merchant, so I'm going to try and hopefully change that. But yes, beat Jack in technically titles, even though I've already done it for Tier 2, but F1.5 to not officially have that over him. Nice, but again, not really comparable, because Tier 2, I probably should have been out of it long ago. So I'm more looking forward to being trying to be able to prove myself against people like him in Tier 1.
And lastly, I think maybe, unless I have any other questions, just describe that Canada race last week for Tier 1. I mean, you're a Tier 2 driver. I mean, you did show why you didn't really deserve to be in Tier 2, I guess, like you said, in a way, by the way the season has gone. What would you describe that race as based on last week's event? I mean, it kind of was the foreshadowing and the kind of good luck for this week by getting a podium and showing what you can do. And now it's happened that you're champion, but I guess my question is, yeah, last week's race, what would you describe that as, getting back to the Tier 1 podium for the first time in nearly 4 years? And now that you're back in Tier 1, what are your goals, if anything?
Well, I pretty much briefed on it earlier. I said for Tier 1, for the rest of the season, I just want to, if I'm in the Aston Martin, that is, just to reiterate, also just want to try and just keep a consistent season going. And then did you say you want me to talk through the Canada race? Was that what you wanted me to do?
Yeah, just tell me briefly about the Canada race, and then I think that'll be it from us.
Okay. Well, yeah, obviously I just jumped in. I did a sort of practicing, like an hour and a half maybe before the race. Started fiddling around with the setup for the first time. I was pretty average pace, probably like a lot. Me and Cam's qualifying times. If my pace before altering setups, I probably got out qualified by Cam by a few temps. Sort of fiddling around with the setup, found a setup that worked perfectly for me, gained loads of time, and was like, oh my days, this is phenomenal. Um, Went to the qualifying session. The car just felt unbelievable on rails. No issues at all. Um, Qualifying was obviously a massive surprise for me to qualify so high up the grid. I was chuffed. I was happy. And then obviously the race was going pretty well. Overtook Scus for a track, mainly probably to the tire advantage I had, but still it was a cool moment to overtake him. And then obviously you saw at the end of my stint, I started getting overtaken by everyone again. So back to ground zero. And then obviously the safety car at the end obviously helped me massively to get that P2. Obviously wanted to win, but Reese was just too quick. I couldn't keep him at bay. And I made a mistake, which cost me the DRS on him. So yeah, I was just happy. Well, during the race, I was really angry. If you were listening to my recording, if I posted it, I'm not going to post it because it's embarrassing. I was fucking fuming. Sorry for the language, but I was absolutely fuming. But I was looking back on it, it was phenomenal to get a podium after like 1,000 days or something like that. Crazy. Yeah. Ryan? Ryan? He's gone. Looks like I'm now RPL streamer, as Ryan is disappeared.
Battery moment.
What's our race, folks?
My batteries,
The
they died.
weather.
Battery moment. Hey, it happened when you won in Qatar, my batteries, so what a good way to end off the stream, right? My batteries was going to die, so I changed them as you took the lead on Gecko. Or Bonky, whoever it was, I don't remember.
Oh, I
Whatever.
was fuming about that because I was really happy about my overtake and it was on stream.
I said something at the end of it. No, yeah,
Was
I see what you mean.
the
And
three wide moment? Sorry to interrupt you again. Was the three wide moment with Beatnik and KVS on the stream?
yeah, I believe so.
Oh, I can't wait to watch that back. It's so funny.
Yeah, that was a nice kerfuffle. If that's what I think we're referring to
Beatnik
the same thing.
apologized to me for it there. And I was...
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, just one more thing to say. I want to say, Owen, of course, besides good luck in Tier 1 and congrats, I do want to say just listen to this and I just want one or two words on it. Champion in 3 of the last 4 Tier 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's about time I'm gone. To be fair, I think it's
Everyone's gonna be happy about it, probably.
yeah. I obviously
They now get their chance.
feel a bit bad because I'm happy to win the championship, but I don't like being a hogger like that. I probably should have left a long time ago and let other people have a go. But at least I'm doing it now. Better late than never, to be fair.
Agreed. And now's your chance to prove it in Tier 1. We get to find out tomorrow with you in your first full-time Tier 1 race
Oh yes.
since God knows how long. Tomorrow
Sling it into the
at
wall.
Austria. Austria, yeah. Austria, the race where controversy struck last season with Stenner and Reese, Ferrari and Red Bull. We'll see what happens this season in Austria. Austria tomorrow, folks, for F1 Tier 1. Same time. Just different day. Qatar, Formula Endurance on Sunday, 2 Eastern, 7 UK time to end off the weekend. And the next week is Portugal for Tier 2, the penultimate round of Tier 2 Season 11. And then to end off the season will be in Las Vegas. We'll find out how that goes. As always, I'm your main commentator and play-by-play commentator / only for today. Ryan Searles signing off, folks. We will see you next week or this rest of this weekend for the racing to resume.
Yippee!
Yippee!